of Faith. Every time you open the newspaper these days, it seems somewhere some corporate executive is under fire for unethical or even criminal conduct. But there's a movement in America that insists arrogance, greed, and selfishness don't have to be the hallmarks of business. It's a model of management that's catching on with corporations today called servant leadership. Can humility and faith be good for business? Was Jesus the ultimate CEO?
I think the classic image for me that embodies servant leadership would be that of Jesus washing feet of his disciples.
An image nearly 2,000 years old, and a message that true leaders are servants first. It's an idea that's finding new disciples in corporate America. This is the image more closely associated with big business. The all-powerful boss issuing orders and pink slips.
Eric. Don't say it, Mr. Trump. You're fired.
How many corporate bosses in America today are washing the feet of their employees?
Well, I don't know of any who are literally washing the feet of employees.
Larry Spears is president and CEO of the Greenleaf Center, a worldwide nonprofit organization headquartered in Indianapolis. It is named after Robert Greenleaf, a former AT&T executive and Quaker who challenged the pyramid model of business management, with one in which those at the top are called upon to sacrifice for and serve those at the bottom.
Robert Greenleaf's key message is that one should be, as much as possible, a servant to others.
What kind of qualities are you talking about?
An emphasis on listening to others, the use of persuasion within organizations.
As opposed to bossing people around.
Correct.
And if you can't persuade everybody?
Well, as you get larger as an organization, it probably becomes less and less likely that you can get everybody on board.
But if you act like a servant leader and not a tyrant, Spears says the troops are more likely to support you when you make a tough decision. So the medicine goes down a little easier if you've made that attempt.
That's right.
They aren't exactly the qualities that come to mind when we think of the corporate leaders who've been making headlines lately, accused of blatant self-interest.
Greed, in some cases, has taken a higher place in the minds of leaders than has serving others.
But Spears says a growing number of businesses are drawing from the servant leader model, including Starbucks, Southwest Airlines, the Men's Warehouse, and Vanguard Investment Group.
I'd call servant leadership, as much as anything else, the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them to do unto you.
$4.95.
But does it work for the employee? Greg Forty worked his way up to manager at one of the Starbucks shops in Rockefeller Center, where many of us at NBC News get our coffee. Do you really feel the company leaders serve you?
Do I feel the company? I don't see them directly, but I think they are in our best interest. I met Howard Schultz, this was in October during our holiday meeting.
Howard Schultz, CEO?
Yeah, he came to our meeting. He spoke very highly of us, gave us a little pep talk about how the company should run, but I was very happy with him. I think he really spoke with us, and I think he really cares about the company that much. Starbucks is one of the only companies that you can get health benefits if you work in 20 hours. You have the option to own health benefits. It's a big rule. I don't know any other company that offers benefits to partners working part-time.
In fact, on Fortune magazine's list of the top 100 companies to work for, Spears says executives from 11 companies have sought guidance from the Greenleaf Center.
Servant leadership sort of challenges people to be brave and courageous and to bring ideas like friendship and perhaps even love to the workplace.
The courage not just to be caring, but to be loving.
That's right.
Do you feel respected? Do you feel valued? Do you feel loved?
I do feel loved. I do really feel loved. Love is a strong word, I know, but is he going to personally, call me on Christmas? I don't think so, but certainly I think he is in the best interest of the company. I really do think they look out for us and they do the best.
The guy in the very top, the CEO.
I think so.
I mean, some leaders might be concerned that if they adopt this model, the servant as leader, that they may be perceived as weak.
In fact, it takes a toughness and a strength of character because you are, in fact, making a commitment not just to the bottom line financially, but to the bottom line when it comes to people.
So how would a servant leader handle what Donald Trump has to do every week on The Apprentice? Tell somebody you're fired. In your model of servant leadership.
I'm not even sure how to answer that question.
This is a tough one. You're fired.
I mean, he's pretty blunt about it. He hears, he listens, and then he fires them.
Well, it's hard to know, based upon the viewing of the TV show, how much time and energy has gone in on his part to working with an employee or an intern before firing them. I would say that if truthfulness or bluntness is not handed out in equal measure with love for that employee, that it isn't really servant leadership. They go hand in hand.
Of course, Donald Trump's performance on The Apprentice is just that, a performance. Spears says the reality of firing someone is a test for any servant leader.
There's a lot of pain involved in that sort of decision for a servant leader.
Empathy, humility, self-sacrifice. Those are the marks of a true servant leader. According to Spears, some of the best known come from outside the business world. People like Jimmy Carter and South African religious leader Desmond Tutu.
I keep telling people that I am just a leader by default.
Martin Luther King Jr. and Eleanor Roosevelt. Anyone can become a servant leader. Spears says all you need is the desire to serve others and the courage to seize opportunities to lead. Servant leaders have been among us through all of history, in all cultures and all religions.
Jesus is often pointed to as sort of the classic servant leader. He served others and sought to do so through countless encounters with people during the course of his life.
Being willing to give his life on the cross.
That's right.
In service of others.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the ultimate example of this.
I think it is the ultimate example.
Robert Greenleaf's original essay, The Servant as Leader, written in 1970, has now been translated into 9 languages, most recently Arabic. Though Greenleaf's inspiration came mostly from his experience in business, the idea of servant leadership can be found in many religions. The Greenleaf Center says its members and clients come from many faiths, including Judaism, Islam, and Buddhism.